I wanted to do a little recap video of my trip to Washington and Oregon. So this is Snoqualmie Falls. This is where we went on the first day. This is really the only thing we did that day. And then we slept in Port Angeles. The next morning we woke up and kind of explored around the hotel a bit. There were some pretty cool things to see and just appreciate this beautiful scenery for a moment because it was literally breathtaking everywhere in Washington, especially. Oregon was beautiful too, but the roads were just like, kind of scary. This is nothing compared to the mountain that we went to later. The roads are just beautiful and the water is beautiful. Like, you do not get views like this in Michigan. So we flew into Seattle actually, and then we ended up going down to Oregon, driving like a few hours each day to get to all of these little destinations that were on my list. And then we flew out of Seattle because we made that drive that morning to catch the flight. This is Sol Duck Waterfall. There was a hike to get there. I went with my son and my mom, and they had a difficult time getting up there. For me, it was like nothing, but the waterfall was more breathtaking because you had to walk to get there. You had to put that effort in to see Sol Duc Falls, so it was beautiful. Then we went to Sol Duc Hot Springs. I thought it was going to be a natural hot springs, but they took the hot spring water and put it in pools for some reason. But it was kind of cool. Smelled like rotten eggs. Just a bunch of strangers kind of bathing together in this rotten egg water, but it's supposed to be really good for you. So yeah, then we drove to Forks, and this is all on day 2, you guys. We got the Airbnb that is a lookalike of the Jacob Black house from Twilight. I don't want to annoy you guys too much with too many pictures and videos from this place, but I thought it was so cool. I planned pretty much this whole vacation. My mom planned the whale watching, which you'll see in a bit. But yeah, this Airbnb was so cute and so cozy. I literally would have stayed there for a month if I could. Forks is just such a little town that's so cute. I mean, obviously it's famous now because of Twilight, but this property was on a bunch of acres, so I loved exploring out in the field back here. There was also like quite literally 1,000 slugs back there because it is the rainiest city in the continental US. So that was interesting to see. That was like the most wildlife we saw out here in Washington. We didn't see no moose. We saw slugs and then eventually whales when we went whale watching and stuff. But yeah, it was just so cute. I did see like a tan butt of some kind of animal when we were driving one time. I don't know if it was a deer or an elk or a moose. I don't know. I see deer all the time in Michigan, but not so much moose or elk or anything like that. So that was interesting, but I literally don't know what it was. But here are just some more clips from the back field behind this house because it was like literally just amazing. I have lots of videos on my TikTok about this place because it's kind of niche, but it was so breathtaking. Like, it literally felt like a fairy tale. So this is like one of the highlights from the trip for sure. And then the next morning, day 3, we drove to La Push Beach. Okay, the Quilliots, like, they are a real native tribe and they really do protect this land. They don't want tourists and visitors, running up on their beach. Like, it is sacred to them. So keep that in mind if you go here. Do not park your car by the beach. Park somewhere else and walk. Park by the little store that they have up front and then walk to the beach, please. And it wasn't like it was a busy day. Like, it was pretty cold. As you can see, I had a jacket on during this little beach trip. If it was warmer, I wonder how many people would have been there. Like, it seems like a pretty quiet, small town. Very touristy, though. That's a view of one of the mountains. We accidentally took a ferry. Okay, did not mean to, but we put in the directions back to Seattle, as you can see, and it had us take a ferry. That was like the shortest route, so that was kind of cool. Then we went whale watching on day 4, so we saw 3 orcas, and it was actually like really cool. The boat ride itself, I thought, was just fun, not hanging off, but hanging out on the back of the boat and just having your hair blow in the wind. I thought it was really cool. We also saw like a sea lion and a puffin. I didn't really see the puffin, but the orcas were so beautiful to watch. I'm more of a humpback person, if I'm being completely honest, but it was just an awesome boat ride. It was definitely windy. And then we went to the Seattle aquarium. Didn't really have any pictures or videos of that. The next day we went to the gum wall by Pike's Marketplace. Day 5 now. And so the gum wall was really cool. I liked all the art. Like, people think of the gum, but there's all this art next to it. And then same day, we went to Mount Rainier. This is where the roads were freaking terrifying. I don't think I would ever go back just because of the roads and driving. I realized that this reoccurring dream I had as a kid of like driving up these tall hills and being terrified for my life, like that actually existed in Washington. Even in Seattle, like the roads were wild. Like, who puts a stop sign in the middle of a freaking hill? But I actually walked down this little trail to get closer to Mount Rainier, so that was beautiful. And then up here, this is the view like at the top of like the national park. I don't know what mountain we're on right here in these clips, but we're high up and we're in the clouds, okay? And it was really cool. Like, you can kind of feel the altitude, if I'm being honest. My mom was feeling it. She was like, I have breathing issues right now. I was like, I didn't even notice that. Like, obviously my ears are popping, but okay. There was literally snow when we were driving back down. I was like, oh my gosh. Then that night we stayed at the cutest little like campsite that also has like little cabins to stay at. I don't know if they do Bigfoot tours or not, but as you guys will see, they have these like buses that say they do. So I think this is Mount St. Helen. And then we went to, on day like 6, we went to the Ape Caves the next day, and it was so cool. Didn't have many videos of like inside the cave because obviously it was dark, but that was definitely one of the highlights of the trip. Mount Rainier was probably my favorite thing. The caves were awesome as well, and then Forks was just cool to experience that. These are just some pretty views I took after the caves. And then the next day we went to Beacon Rock Park, and that was just a cute little park on like the Lewis and Clark Trail. Here is the Beacon Rock, which is just a cool thing to see. And then we went to a fish hatchery. I don't really have any pictures of the fish there, but then we went to these waterfalls. Okay, I think this is called Horseshoe Falls. It's in Ontana Gorge, and you literally park and the waterfall is right freaking there. Similar to like Snoqualmie on the first day we got there, and also similar to Multnomah Falls, which you'll see in a minute. But this Ontana Gorge, like Horseshoe Falls, was the coolest. Even though it wasn't the biggest, it was the coolest because you can literally swim in the water right there. Okay, you need some shoes that are going to be good for walking across these rocks because that was tricky. Maybe just have a bathing suit on already. I would have, if I knew that that was going to be the experience, I would have swam under the waterfall, but like I just wasn't prepared that that was the whole situation there. But that was like the best of the 4 waterfalls. And then obviously Multnomah waterfalls. This is in Oregon, by the way, the Ontana Gorge, and then the Multnomah Falls. That's like Oregon's most popular tourist attraction, is this Multnomah waterfall, because it's very tall. Snoqualmie is also supposed to be really tall, but I've seen Niagara Falls like a bunch of times because we go to New York a lot, so these waterfalls were like nothing compared to how big Niagara is, but they are beautiful and they are in the wild, okay? So you can get to that little part of Multnomah Falls right off the parking lot. It is hard to find a parking space in those parking lots. Like, we had to leave, go get some food, and then come back to find a parking spot, but it was worth it. And then there's just this little trail you can do if you so choose to get closer to it. And then the next day we went to Cannon Beach, and it was so beautiful. Okay, you might recognize it from the Goonies movie, but Cannon Beach was just a total vibe. The next day we saw my friend who lives in Oregon. That is what kind of inspired this vacation, actually, was one of my childhood friends who moved there a couple years ago for school. So we went to go visit her, and I planned this whole vacation around that. Like, we saw waterfalls, we saw mountains, we saw caves that are like lava tubes, like lava used to flow through there. So it was an awesome trip. And then this amazing view of Mount Rainier on the plane ride back home was absolutely wild. Peace out.